Every once in a while, a game comes along that completely reminds you why you fell in love with gaming in the first place. Not because of the graphics, not because of the gameplay, but because of the story it leaves behind. And Pokémon Unbreakable Ties was no exception. From start to finish, it truly was a remarkable experience. And I walked away truly believing that I experienced a masterpiece. This is Pokémon Unbreakable Ties. And they say that the bonds you have with your Pokémon are truly unbreakable, but this game takes that story and shifts it to another narrative. Our journey begins in a peaceful region of Akebia where fate finally gives us the opportunity every aspiring trainer dreams of, taking the Pokemon Trainer's exam. And after passing with flying colors alongside our friends Ada and Darek, we eagerly head over to Professor Alama's lab to receive our very first Pokemon. But there was just one tiny problem. There were only 2 Pokemon left, but luckily Professor Alama wasn't about to send us home empty-handed. Instead, she entrusted us with an old Pokemon egg that she'd been holding on to for years. None of us had any idea what was inside, but after meeting up with our friends on the beach, we all agreed that tomorrow would finally be the day we'd begin our Pokemon journey. Then our egg hatched. Out popped a Riolu that we decided to name Chi, and I don't know why, but I immediately had a feeling that this little guy was going to become something special. To celebrate, Ada and Darek challenged us to our very first Pokemon battles, and let's just say that Chi absolutely decimated both of them. After our first victories, we head back home to share the news with our parents, but instead of celebrating, Mom immediately starts questioning whether becoming a Pokemon trainer is even worth it. According to her, our dad never managed to finish his own journey, so why should ours be any different? Thankfully, Dad wasn't interested in crushing our dreams, and instead he asked us a much simpler question. How did battling alongside Chi make you feel? When we told him it was the happiest we felt in a long time, he smiled and challenged us to a battle himself. After another convincing victory, Dad finally accepted that we were ready. As one final gift before we left home, he tied his old bandana around Chi's neck, a small gesture that somehow made our very first partner feel even more special. The following morning, Mom apologized for everything she said the night before, wished us luck, and with that, our real journey could finally begin. Before long, Professor Alama caught up with us on Route 1 to hand over a few supplies we had forgotten, while Ada introduced us to one of the game's most unique mechanics, the Gacha PC. Now, there was actually a Pokemon I desperately wanted from this system, but unfortunately, because of the current banner rotation, it was literally impossible to obtain at the time I was recording this video. And instead of delaying the upload for who knows how many days or months, I came up with a different solution. But don't worry, we'll get back into that later. As we continue forward, we met one of the strangest kids in the entire game. After helping him track down his missing Ditto, who had disguised itself as a rock of all things, you'd think he'd at least say thank you. Nope. Instead, Rodolfo called us a lousy trainer and walked away. Yeah, I wasn't exactly his biggest fan after that. By the time we'd reached the end of Route 2, Ada had already expanded her team and immediately challenged us to another battle. Unfortunately for Ada, Chi still wasn't interested in losing, and after arriving in Finchtown, what should have been a simple coffee break quickly turned into our first glimpse at a much larger story unfolding behind the scenes. Alama was meeting with a mysterious man named Aldrich from the royal family, discussing increased security, strange Pokemon, and events that clearly weren't meant for us to overhear. At the time, none of it really made much sense, but looking back now, it was one of the first signs that our journey was going to become much bigger than collecting gym badges. After earning ourselves a free coffee by sweeping every trainer inside the cafe, thanks again, Chi, we continued onward through Route 3 and Finch Cave before the game briefly shifted perspectives to Darek. After losing to the Kalintra City gym leader, he was immediately criticized for his attitude. Meanwhile, we finally reached Route 4, and remember that impossible gacha Pokemon I mentioned earlier? That Pokemon was Frigibax. Since it was completely unobtainable due to the current banner rotation, I decided to catch a Shinx and use the save editor to convert it into a level 1 Frigibax instead. Not long after, Darek challenged us once again, but between Chi and our brand new Frigibax, we managed to secure yet another victory before finally arriving in Kalintra City. Realizing we were nowhere near strong enough to challenge the gym leader yet, we decided to explore the beach instead, where we once again crossed paths with Rodolfo. After his Ditto accidentally got punched while disguised as a rock, he somehow tried convincing us to fight the gym leader for him. Yeah, absolutely not. Instead, we got to properly meet the gym leader ourselves along with his Lucario, who immediately took an interest in Chi. Before allowing us to challenge him, he asked us to deliver a letter to his grandfather giving us our next destination. Along the way, we rescue a little girl from a wild Galarian Farfetch, earning ourselves an egg incubator and another Pokemon egg as thanks, before finally catching back up with Ada and Darek, who by the way spent what felt like half the entire journey flirting with each other. Their moment didn't last long as two suspicious people in black suits caught our attention, but after overhearing part of their conversation, we decided it was probably smarter to not get involved. At least that's what we thought, because once we reached Greenfinch Forest, we discovered those same men had burned down the bridge leading to the next city. With no way forward, we were focused to help gather supplies so a local carpenter could rebuild it overnight. Exhausted, the three of us set up camp beside a bonfire, ending our very first day on the road beneath the stars. When morning finally arrived, the bridge was finished, and waiting for us was a note inviting us to visit the carpenter's house for our reward. After crossing the newly rebuilt bridge, we finally arrived in Greenfinch City. Before we could explore the city any further, the game shifted perspectives back to Darek, who had just earned his very first gym badge. Rather than taking the gym leader's advice to stay humble, Darek hit him with one of the coldest lines I've ever seen in a Pokemon game. Yeah, this guy's ego was becoming a serious problem. After Darek stormed off, we got another glimpse behind the curtain as Professor Alama met with Silvano. The conversation confirmed something I'd been wondering for a while. Alama somehow had connections to the Eon Pokémon, Latios and Latias, and judging by the way everyone reacted whenever they were mentioned, this was a much bigger deal than I originally realized. To make matters worse, the royal family was already closing in on her location, and before long we learned they'd been eavesdropping on the entire conversation. Back in Greenfinch City, we finally challenged the first gym leader.
I choose you!
After earning our very first badge, Silvano pulled us aside with a strange request. He wanted us to keep an eye on Professor Alama. He refused to explain why, but after everything we'd already overheard, I had a feeling it wasn't going to be anything good. Not long after leaving the city, we caught up with Ada just as several members of the royal family surrounded Silvano. They attempted to bribe him into cooperating. That went about as well as you expect. Without thinking twice, Ada and I jumped into battle to even our odds, forcing the grunts to retreat. Silvano wasn't exactly thrilled we gotten ourselves involved, but we couldn't exactly stand there and watch him get jumped. After watching Ada refuse to accept their free gym badge because she wanted to earn everything herself, I honestly respected her a lot more. It was a surprisingly wholesome moment, especially considering what this story would eventually become. With another mystery behind us, we continued towards Goldfinch Town, where the game once again shifted perspectives to Alama. As more pieces slowly fell into place, we learned that the royal family was searching for an ancient inscription connected to the Eon Pokémon. While Alama desperately tried to reach Cardinal City before they could uncover its secrets, one thing also became painfully obvious. Aldrich cared about Alama far more than he was willing to admit. Back in our own journey, we finally delivered the gym leader's letter to Yang Lao, who immediately began teaching Chi how to truly master Force Palm. First, we had to synchronize our breathing with nature itself, then learn how to project that energy without even making contact. While we trained, the story once again shifted away from us as Alama reunited with her assistant Adrian. Together, they realized the royal family was only moments away from discovering the ancient tablet hidden within Relic Cave. Unable to stop them alone, Alama contacted Silvano for help before flying towards Cardinal City, leaving Adrian behind. Unfortunately, someone else had been watching everything, Darek, and completely misunderstanding the situation, he immediately challenged Adrian to a battle and got absolutely decimated. Maybe spamming your strongest moves isn't always the best strategy after all. After finally mastering Force Palm in less than a day, Yang Lao prepared to head towards Relic Cave himself. Instead, we convinced him to let us handle the situation, and his response honestly gave me chills. Perhaps it's finally time for the next generation to protect Akebia. And just like that, our mission changed completely. No longer were we simply collecting gym badges. We were trying to stop the royal family. After fighting our way through Relic Cave, we finally reached Commander Vesta just as the ancient encryption was about to be translated.
I choose you!
Bye-bye!
despite defeating her, we were already too late. The inscription had been read and the royal family escaped. Even Adrian himself admitted we had arrived just a little too late, but before leaving he asked if we could help him again in the future. Without hesitation, we agreed. As we left the cave, the game revealed Ada had caught herself a shiny Axu, meaning our team could finally expand once again. So naturally it was time to welcome another permanent member, Moon the Ross. After a little training, she quickly evolved into Curlier before joining Chi and Winter as the newest member of the team. Returning to Kalintra City, we expected to finally challenge the second gym, only for Ada to challenge us first. Honestly, I'll take that any day. After yet another victory, we stepped inside of one of the coolest gym puzzles we've seen so far before finally facing the gym leader once and for all.
I choose you!
Bye-bye. Gotta go.
I choose you!
Bye-bye. Oh no.
I choose you!
Bye-bye.
Winning earned us our second badge. Before setting our sights on Cardinal City, we stopped by the beach one last time to let Ada know the gym had been closed. Alright, before we continue, I gotta take a quick break because today's video is sponsored by W. If you've never heard of W, it's a powdered energy drink that you mix yourself. You just scoop it in a cold water, shake it up, and you got an energy drink ready to go. What makes W different is that it's zero sugar, it has no artificial colors or dyes, and uses coffee fruit extract as one of its focus ingredients. So it's made to give you that energy and focus without the sugar crash or jitters that you might get from some other energy drinks. And they have a ton of really unique flavors. Personally, I got to try the mango orange cream and it was super good. So if you want to try W for yourself, click the link in the description and use the code on screen at checkout for 10% off. Enough of that, let's get back into the video. After saying goodbye to Ada on the beach, we continued through routes 7 and 8, and while there wasn't anything particularly interesting happening along the way, something caught our attention. High above us, Latios and Latias flew across the sky. For a moment we just stood there wondering, have we seen those Pokemon before? Little did we know just how important those two would become. After making our way through Route 8, we finally arrived in Nymph City, where we meet back up with Ada, and she invites us to get ice cream. And who else to be sitting there other than Darek? Unfortunately, Darek was so concerned about what we were gonna think of him that he completely forgot we were even in the room. And before he could leave, we stopped him and told him everything we discovered about Alama and the royal family. The second he heard that Alama was in danger, his entire attitude changed. He immediately rushed out to find her, leaving me and Ada to finish our ice cream. And after that, we continued onward until we reached Route 9, where we discovered a mysterious cave. At first it looked like any other cave, but after solving the puzzle and making our way deeper inside, we met a girl named Bichu. She rewarded us with a Pokemon egg and even became our friend before we continued our journey. Once we reached Route 10, we discovered that Darek had expanded his team, meaning we were finally allowed to add another Pokemon to ours. So say hello to Sweet and Heat, the Capsid Kid. We immediately evolved her in the Scova lane and continued across the Route 10 bridge, where Darek challenged us yet again. And somehow, Chi still made it look easy. And after another loss, Darek finally started questioning why he could never seem to beat us. Even Ada had enough of him and told him that we were gonna have a talk later. But as usual, Darek's ego got the better of him and he stormed off. Eventually, Ada and I arrived in Cardinal City, where she immediately abandoned me after smelling pizza. But while exploring the city, we noticed something strange. Reporters were arguing with royal family guards, and apparently the royal family had completely taken over the Cardinal City Museum. They were searching for the mayor. Naturally, that didn't sit right with us, so we decided to intervene. On our way to the museum, we found the mayor's daughter being apprehended by royal family guards. We stepped in, defeated them, and in the process, Moon evolved into Gardevoir. The mayor's daughter begged us to save her father, so we promised we would. Inside the museum, Ada and I fought our way through the royal family until we finally reached the depths of the building. And that's when we saw exactly what they had done to the mayor. mare. There was no reasoning with Vesta this time, so instead we battled. After defeating her, we finally learned the truth. The royal family wasn't actually searching for Alama. They were looking for the princess who had fled the castle years ago, and somehow that just made everything even more confusing. After the royal family finally left, we tended to the mayor before the story shifted over to Darek. Darek was sitting in a library reading books about his past, completely unaware that Majimi was watching him. Back in Cardinal City, we finished up a feast with Ada and went for a walk. That's when we saw her. Alama. Except something was wrong. This Alama looked a little bit different. She wasn't talking, and when we followed her, she somehow ran straight through a wall? Ada immediately ran after her, and Darek followed because he was worried about Ada, and eventually we followed too. After finding Ada injured from her landing, Darek patched her up before we continued searching. Eventually we found Alama again, but before Ada could even speak to her, a shadowy figure resembling Latios attacked her. While Ada was unconscious, Darek stepped up to fight the mysterious Pokemon, but Alama suddenly jumped in front of him, forcing him to stop. And then the truth was revealed. It actually was Latios, and apparently he was extremely angry. Before anything could get worse, we were interrupted by Celeste and Adrian, who turned out to be friends of Alama. And then another Alama showed up. Yeah, there were two of them. Turns out Latios was disguising herself as Alama and messing with everyone. No wonder Latios was pissed. After clearing up the misunderstanding, Ada and Darek even managed to become friends with the two legendary Pokemon and got to ride alongside them. And us, we got to battle Adrian instead.
I choose you!
Bye-bye! Bye-bye!
I choose you!
Bye-bye!
After defeating him, he recognized us as a serious opponent and rewarded us with a mystic water. With that mystery finally solved, we returned to Cardinal City for dinner. Unfortunately, Majimi had been watching us the entire time, and that definitely couldn't be good. Later that night, we learned that Celeste was the city's gym leader and that everyone had rooms reserved in a nearby hotel. And somehow, I ended up sharing a room with Ada and Darek, while Vesta was downstairs giving Rodolfo some surprisingly deep life advice. But once I actually started sympathizing with Darek when Ada accidentally brought up his mother, he clearly wasn't okay with it, but I was too tired to have an actual conversation with him. The next morning, we woke up ready to challenge Celeste, except Ada had other plans. She challenged us to yet another battle, and once again, she proved that he was simply better. After losing yet again, Ada suggested we visit the aquarium while Darek finished his gym battle. Along the way, we met a girl named Estella who seemed to take an immediate liking to us, despite the fact that we just dismantled her security. We watched the Gyarados eat a corfish together, had a brief conversation, and eventually went our separate ways. While all of that was happening, Winter evolved into Arctobax. Finally, we were able to challenge Celeste's gym. The gym itself was built around water traversal and reaction-based challenges, but after making our way through the entire thing, we finally reached the gym leader.
I choose you!
Bye-bye! Oh no! Bye-bye!
That's a lot of damage!
Bye-bye! Bye-bye!
I choose you!
She gave everything he had, but eventually he fainted. Thankfully, the rest of our team pulled through and we earned our 3rd gym badge. Celeste invited us to the bar afterwards to see how everyone else was doing. Before heading there, Moon started rubbing herself against our legs. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see that. At the bar, everyone started drinking themselves into oblivion while me, Yang Lao, and Rodolfo stayed sober. Eventually, we started taking everyone home, including Ada, who decided this was the perfect opportunity to unload all of her personal problems onto me. But while we were dealing with all of that, something much worse was happening. At the Garden of Dreams, Aldrich and the royal family had launched another attack. The champion was there, Majimi was there, even Biju had somehow emerged from beneath the ground. And Silvano, he was restrained by Majimi's Viper and injected with poison. Alama was completely surrounded. Things were looking hopeless, but luckily Latios bought enough time for Latios to escape and warn Ada through a dream. The moment Ada saw what was happening, she sobered up real quick. Ada and Celeste took Latios towards the Garden of Dreams while me and Yang Zhao fought through the northern area. Eventually we encountered Kaleo, one of the royal family's higher ranking members. There was absolutely no way we were winning that fight, but just before everything fell apart, Vesta showed up. She'd apparently decided to turn against the royal family. With Vesta holding them off, we made our way into the Garden of Dreams and joined the others. We battled Majimi, and even though we managed to defeat her, we were still overwhelmed. Majimi was about to finish us off when she suddenly evolved. With our new strength, we challenged Majimi again, and this time we won. Majimi immediately told Aldrich that they needed to leave before things became more complicated. Aldrich couldn't believe we'd actually defeated her, so he decided to speed up their plans. And then he took Alama, he took Darek, and he took Latios. Ada completely broke down. She and Latios were left behind watching helplessly as they disappeared. After everything we just lost, we could do nothing but turn in for the night. And the next morning we helped Silvano recover before searching for Ada. We eventually found her on one of Cardinal City's bridges, and she was handling the loss better than I expected, but she still had no idea where Darek had been taken. Then Rodolfo came through, and I never thought that I'd say this, but Rodolfo was a fucking genius. Apparently the night before he had met with Alama and replaced her bow with his Ditto, and because Ditto was disguised as the bow, Rodolfo had secretly planted a tracking device on him. Ada was immediately overjoyed and took Rodolfo and Latios with her to track them down. Meanwhile, we headed north by taking a boat from the southern part of Cardinal City. During this trip, we helped a woman named Sumire find her lost keys, and she invited us to visit her home in Fort Bay City. When we finally arrived in Toucan Town, the game gave us another glimpse in the Alama situation. Latios showed her that Darek was being held inside Akebia Prison, and with his strength beginning to fade, Alama sent Ditto on a mission to retrieve Derek's Pokemon. Considering how dangerous that sounds, I'm just gonna trust Ditto. Back in our own journey, we traveled through routes 11 and 12 before finally reaching Fort Bay City. There we witnessed the world's creepiest love confession, where some rich kid tried to confess to a girl named Sakura. She rejected him, and we probably should have left it at that. Instead, we followed her to a bakery. Before we could reach her, the game switched perspectives to Estella, who was speaking with Sakura, and this conversation dropped another massive bombshell. Estella revealed that Alama had been captured by the royal family, and apparently Estella and Alama were sisters, which also raised another question. Was Alama actually a princess? Before we could get any answers, we finally met Sakura. After a bit of awkwardness, she eventually opened up once she learned we were friends with Alama and a part of the rebellion against the royal family. Before leaving, Sakura formally challenged us to a gym battle, so naturally we accepted. But before we head to the gym, we have just one thing to do. At the sanctuary, we use a good rod to fish up our next team member, Mariana the Feedbass, and immediately evolving her into Milotic. We then make our way to the gym, and after completing the gym's dance puzzle, we finally face off against Sakura.
I choose you!
Gotta go!
I choose you!
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh no!
I choose you!
Oh, I missed!
Bye-bye.
Oh, I missed! I missed.
Bye-bye.
Oh no!
I choose you!
Bye-bye.
After winning, we earned our 4th gym badge and a TM for play rough. But Sakura wasn't finished. She wanted to meet us at the sanctuary. There she revealed that she wanted to travel with us and help fight against the royal family. And honestly, the more help we can get, the better. Before leaving, we traveled through routes 13 and 14 before reaching Nightingale Town. At Barstones, we watched the Elite Four member Angie perform, and then she invited us onto the stage for a battle, which did not go well. We got absolutely destroyed, naturally. Afterwards, Sakura revealed that Angie was technically part of the royal family, but she didn't exactly follow their orders. Before we could ask anything else, we passed out, and the game shifted perspectives to Darek. After finally receiving his Pokemon from Ditto, Darek teamed up with Grovyle and managed to escape his cell, but he wasn't alone. His former enemy, Commander Vesta, was now fighting alongside him. Together, they battled their way through Akebia Prison, eventually reaching his depths where they rescue our newest teammate, Mimikyu. After defeating Agapito and making their way through the prison's higher security cells, Darek discovered a prisoner who had been falsely imprisoned and tortured by the royal family for 15 years. After freeing them, Darek and Edward made their escape, but Vesta stayed behind. She wanted to prove herself against Majimi, and she did. Vesta defeated her, but reinforcements soon arrived, and knowing that they couldn't win, Vesta used Salazzo's smokescreen to create an opening for Darek and Edward. Darek finally realized Vesta wasn't following him. For once, he actually wanted to turn back and help someone else, but Edward stopped him. They had to escape. Meanwhile, back on our side of the story, we woke up on the ground in front of a blushing Sakura. She asked if we remember what happened the night before. I don't know what you're implying, but we watched a concert. We continued towards Lugano City through Route 15, where we entered the Forest of Memories, and this place was different. We witnessed the memories of a young boy who had befriended a Pokemon that was just as different as he was. The two were rejected by everyone around him, but they found comfort in each other until the royal family came for his Pokemon. The boy sacrificed his life trying to protect his friend. By the time we reached the end of the forest, we witnessed his entire story, and as a final gift, he gave us his shiny Litwick. Then his spirit fused with ours and disappeared into our soul. After leaving the Forest of Memories, we arrive in Blackbird Town and reunite with Adrian. A royal family grunt then told us that Mr. Zervin wanted to see us at the top of Celestial Tower. Obviously, that sounded like a trap, but we went anyway. With Adrian's help, we made our way through the tower and finally met Zervin. He was blind, but apparently he could see the future. What he told us was terrifying. The royal family's power came from Arceus and the gods themselves, and he had seen a future where Akebia was destroyed by a catastrophic climate event. He wasn't sure if Rayquaza was involved, but he knew one thing. We appeared in his vision. Me, Ada, Darek, and Adrian. Because we were rebelling against the royal family, Zervin believed we could be the very reason Akebia eventually will fall. Instead of stopping us, however, he simply just left. But before he did, he told us Darek would get captured again. This guy literally just escaped prison. How is he already going back? After another battle with Adrian, he finally managed to defeat us, giving us yet another loss. We then challenged Zervin's gym.
I choose you!
Oh, I missed.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.
Oh no!
I choose you!
Bye-bye.
I choose you!
Bye-bye.
Real quick, I'd like to take this time to please ask you to drop a like and subscribe. These videos take a long time to make, so any support is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Now let's get back into the video. After winning, we earned another badge, Shadow Ball, and a whistle that allowed us to summon Corviknight and fly anywhere we previously visited. But then the television interrupted us. Akebia News reported that the royal family had placed a bounty on Darek's head after his escape from prison. And Darek's response, he's gonna storm the royal palace? Because apparently escaping prison wasn't enough. Edward tried to talk some sense into him, but Darek was already gone. Meanwhile, Ada and Rodolfo were flying through the skies on Latias when Rodolfo decided it was a great time to relieve himself. This obviously attracted a swarm of Firo. Latias managed to protect them, but she was injured badly enough that Ada had to make an emergency landing in the middle of a jungle. Ada left Rodolfo behind to watch Latias while she searched for medicine, but along the way a group of Mankey stole her necklace, and because that necklace was a gift from Darek, Ada chased them. Eventually she arrived at Bullfinch village and met a boy named Cheyenne who was arguing with another tribe over their village's healing water. We needed that water for Latias, so naturally we got involved. After helping Cheyenne fight off the tribe members, he promised us a vial of the healing water, but he also revealed something important. The tribe's leader was a man named Hakan, and he was Silvano's brother. We sent Cheyenne back with the medicine while we continued searching for Ada's necklace. Eventually we found a Mankey again, except this time they had bought Hakan, and he absolutely destroyed us. His Annihilate wiped the floor with our team, leaving us unconscious and captured. Meanwhile, Cheyenne successfully delivered the medicine to Latias and met up with Rodolfo. When they realized Ada was missing, they headed towards a tribe village, only to discover Bullfinch village burning. Hakan had done it because the villagers refused to tell him where Cheyenne was, even though they literally didn't know. Cheyenne was furious. With Rodolfo's help, they eventually freed us and we made our way to Tutu Submit. Hakan had our necklace, and when he threw it off the cliff, we jumped after it. I don't know what I was thinking. I completely forgot that humans can't fly. But just before we hit the ground, a familiar Pokemon appeared. Combuskin evolved into Blaziken and saved our life. With our newfound strength, we jumped back up the cliff and challenged Hakan again. This time, we won. Silvano then arrived and finally reunited with his brother. With the brothers finally coming to an understanding, Hakan went off to repair the damage he'd caused. And somehow, Rodolfo became the king of the Mankey. Unfortunately, it was time for Ada and Rodolfo to say goodbye to them. Meanwhile, Darek had finally reached the royal palace, and just when it seemed like his plan was working, Estella captured him again. Darek finally snapped. He told Grovile to leave him because he was too weak. Whether this was actually him giving up or another one of his plans, I had no idea. But now Darek was captured again, and we had no idea how to get him back. Back on our side, we reached Route 16 and finally welcomed our newest permanent team member, Mars the Hisuian Zora, and almost immediately Mars evolved into Hisuian Zoroark. We also ran into a royal family guard who ended up losing one of his Pokemon inside of the abandoned orphanage, and for some reason we agreed to get it back. But the orphanage wasn't just a normal place. There was something very off about it, because the second we stepped inside, the door just closed behind us. A mysterious voice told us that if we wanted to escape, we had to solve the mysteries of the orphanage and entertain them. And that's when we discovered the story of Rodolfo and his childhood friend, Shadow. The orphanage had been hiding something terrifying. Children were being brought there and disappearing. While investigating Mother Camilla's office, Rodolfo and Shadow discovered a book describing experiments involving the transmutation of human brains into non-functional organisms. And then they found something even worse: water stains on the pages. That night, Rodolfo became sick, and Mother Camilla tried to convince him to go with her alone so she could fix him. For once, Rodolfo actually came up with a believable excuse. And later on, Shadow helped him sneak into the freezer to look for medicine. They found something that helped Rodolfo, and then Rodolfo decided to look for ice cream. Unfortunately, there was no ice cream. There were brains, the remains of children who had disappeared. Carmilla caught them before they could escape, forcing Shadow and his Shuppet into a desperate battle. With Shuppet's spite, they managed to fight back long enough for Rodolfo to escape, but Shuppet was too weak to save Shadow. Shadow sacrificed himself so Rodolfo could live. Now we finally understood who had been guiding us through the orphanage: Shadow. He had spent years carrying the hatred of what happened to him and the other children, and eventually that hatred consumed him. After using spite on himself, Shadow's soul separated from his body and possessed everyone inside of the orphanage. He killed them all, and now he wanted a new plaything.
I choose you!
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.
After defeating Shadow, he attempted to possess our body, but he didn't realize one thing. Someone was already living inside of us, Xylon. Instead of destroying Shadow, we chose to help him come to terms with what happened, and somehow we left the orphanage with another soul added to our strange little family. Meanwhile, Ada and Rodolfo had reached Lugano City, but their journey was about to take a much darker turn. They arrived at the execution zone and saw Vesta. Before her execution, Vesta used her final moments to encourage the people living under the royal family's control. Then we learned her story. Vesta had been bullied and misunderstood as a child. When she finally fought back, her mother took the punishment for her. She was beaten repeatedly in front of Vesta until she was eventually hospitalized and died. Vesta had no one left. She resorted to stealing food just to survive until the royal family eventually recruited her. They offered her food, a place to sleep, and somewhere to belong. So she joined them, not because she wanted power, but because she had nowhere else to go. And now her story was ending. Rodolfo shared one final moment with her, but before she could say anything else, Henry ordered his bishop to execute her. I won't lie, this genuinely broke me. After everything Vesta had been through, watching her die like that was just brutal. And somehow Archie just stood there and yawned, complaining about how long the execution took. Ada completely snapped, and honestly, I really couldn't blame her. She confronted Archie and Aldrich before fleeing Lugano City with Latias and Rodolfo. We then took control of Ada and tried to escape, but Brenda, the head of Akebia Prison, caught up with us. Her Saraledge had us cornered until suddenly Edward came flying past on a freaking Raikou. He rescued Ada and Rodolfo before telling Ada the news. Darek had been captured again. Back to our perspective, we reached Route 17 and evolved Winter into Baxcalibur. We also encountered Majimi, and for the first time she wasn't angry, she was grieving. We tried our best to comfort her, but she immediately put her tough exterior back on and challenged us. After defeating her, we realized something. She'd been holding back. Majimi finally admitted how much Vesta's death affected her and how lost she felt without her. So we offered her a place with us. Obviously she refused. She was convinced that her problems were her own responsibility and that going against the gods had already destroyed her life once. Eventually she wished us luck and walked away, and with that we continued towards Lugano City. After a brief encounter at an art gallery involving the owner's daughter Bianca and Queen Amethyst, we learned that even the higher members of the royal family were beginning to recognize us. Meanwhile, Ada was desperate to rescue Darek. Edward knew she wasn't ready, so he challenged her to a battle and absolutely destroyed her, but it was exactly what she needed. Edward then received a mysterious call telling him to head to their usual meeting spot, the casino. Eventually we made our way there as well, and just as we approached the entrance, a familiar voice called out from behind us. It was Ada, Edward, and Rodolfo. Now it's time to finally learn the truth about Edward. Edward was once a member of the lower class who owned an ordinary flower shop. One day Angie challenged him to a battle, but Edward refused, explaining that he simply didn't want to battle anymore. Angie tried convincing him otherwise, but their conversation was interrupted by someone neither of them expected, the Queen of Akebia herself. She insisted that Edward call her Lena, then dismissed the guards accompanying her. She actually wanted to apologize for the royal family's actions, and then she noticed the flower shop. Edward revealed that he was the owner, and Lena immediately became excited because she and her daughter loved flowers. She even started teasing Edward about how he actually apparently gone from being a detective to a florist, and somehow things only got more wholesome from there. Lena complimented his apron and Edward immediately started blushing. Lena eventually asked if she could visit the shop again, and Edward agreed. Before long she was visiting regularly. Then one day Lena arrived with her daughter because she wanted to see a specific flower growing in a distant mountain. Edward didn't have any seeds for it, but he knew exactly where they could find one, so they decided to make the trip together that Sunday. When Sunday finally came, they began climbing the mountain completely unaware that little Alama had gone missing and that someone was watching them. Whoever this person was clearly didn't like seeing the queen spending so much time with Edward, and they decided to arrange a little surprise prize for Lena waiting further up the mountain. Eventually, Edward and Lena made their way to the summit where they found Angie trying to protect little Alama from an enraged Raikou. Unfortunately, even Angie was struggling to keep it under control, but when Edward arrived, something incredible happened. He managed to calm Raikou down and somehow even befriended it. After that, the trip continued and Edward and Lena became closer and closer until they were practically inseparable, until eventually Lena became pregnant. And the father wasn't Henry, it was Edward. After Lena gave birth, the two of them had to decide what to name their child, and Edward chose the name... Wait, Darek is Edward's son? Of course, Henry eventually received the news that Lena had given birth, but this man couldn't even be bothered to go see them until an anonymous letter arrived informing him that the baby wasn't his. Henry investigated the baby's birth records, and once he discovered that Darek didn't share his DNA, he completely lost it. One night while Lena and Edward were together, Henry stormed into the house and confronted them. Henry ordered Lena's execution. Meanwhile, Edward was forced to fight his way through the guards protecting her. Unfortunately, he took the wrong path and ended up face to face with Henry. Their battle lasted for hours, but despite giving everything he had, Edward ultimately lost. Henry sent him to Akebia Prison where he would spend the rest of his life. And just like that, the story of Edward came to an end. Back at the casino, we wake up around 2 a.m. and immediately notice something strange. Ada and Rodolfo are missing. After searching around, we find Ada battling Angie. When we mention that Rodolfo is missing, they assume he probably just stepped outside. Well, if nobody else is gonna find my son, I guess I'll do it myself. We eventually find Rodolfo on Route 19 visiting Vesta's grave. The next morning, Rodolfo wakes us up for a meeting where we're finally given our objectives. Our chances of succeeding are practically non-existent, especially with the royal family's strongest members standing in our way. So our first goal is simple. We need more allies. And the first person Edward wants us to recruit is a mysterious man named Liberty. Nobody has seen him in years, but apparently he lives somewhere inside the sewers. But who gets sent to go find him? Thankfully, Celeste agrees to come with us, so at least I won't be going alone. After Angie helps us access the sewers, we eventually find Liberty. The problem is convincing him to join the rebellion without offering him anything in return. But then we discover something very important. This man is absolutely obsessed with Sakura. He knows practically everything about her, so we simply convince him that Sakura needs his help, and somehow it works. Meanwhile, Ada runs into Sakura, and after another battle, the two end up grabbing drinks together. Eventually, they started talking about their crushes, and Ada admits that there's someone she likes, and Sakura basically admits that she's into us. Ada immediately starts teasing her. Meanwhile, on our way back home from the sewers, we stop by the Poke Store to pick up the suits needed for the operation. On the way out, we run into Adrian and Rodolfo. Rodolfo throws a tantrum about wanting to see a magician performing at the execution zone, so we agreed just to shut him up. The magician Dynamo announces a performance for Sunday, August 5th, which just so happens to be the exact same day we're planning our attack. On our way back to the hideout, we can't help but wonder, why are we always the ones being left behind? But when we finally arrive, Sakura immediately runs towards us and gives us a hug. I missed you. I don't think Liberty is taking this very well. Anyways, it's time for another meeting, and with our teams prepared, we suit up. Before we leave, Edward gives us earplugs, Ada hands us a vial of water, and Yang Zhao gives us the Lucario knife. Everything is ready, so we head towards the city theater alongside Liberty and Sakura. Once inside, we sneak through the back entrance. Sakura and Liberty hold the enemies off. After uncovering the necessary passwords, we finally reach the depths of the facility, and that's where we find the scientists performing experiments. But one of those experiments looked familiar. Wait, is that Camilla? Before we can even process what's happening, Dr. Vega forces Camilla to battle us. After defeating her, we finally put an end to her suffering and release Meloetta. But even though we managed to save Meloetta, we were slowly losing ourselves. After everything is finally under control, we head towards the royal palace to help the others. Something happens that I genuinely wasn't prepared for. Edward sacrifices himself to protect his son. Watching Darek break down after losing his father just completely broke me. I couldn't even hold back my own tears. Back on our own side, we finally reach the top of the palace, and standing before us is Estella. Latios is badly injured, and despite everything we try, we simply can't stop her. Then Estella pulls out something terrifying, a Pokeball capable of completely overwriting a Pokemon's memories, even if that Pokemon already belongs to someone else. If she uses it on Latios, he won't remember Darek. Suddenly a flash of light, and when we look again, Latios is still there, but someone else is gone. Cheat, we were supposed to just accept that he wouldn't remember us anymore? It felt like all of the exhaustion we carried throughout the journey he suddenly disappeared. We stood back up and demanded that Estella give Chi back. She told us that if we wanted him back, we'd have to die for him. And for a moment, we actually considered it. But before Tyranitar could land a finishing blow, Majimi appeared. I knew you'd come around eventually. Over the next few days, we were obviously devastated. Nothing felt the same anymore. Even battling Ada and Darek felt different without Chi beside us. But we couldn't stop. We had one final thing left to do. We stepped up to challenge our next gym leader, and for the first time, we had to do it without Chi. Even without him, the rest of our team fought incredibly well, and somehow we secured our 6th gym badge. But with that, the demo of Pokémon Unbreakable Ties came to an end.